Beta patch notes version 0.109.0. Another beta patch is here, Slayers. This one brings a host of balance changes, bug fixes, new epoch art. I don't know. I hear people say epic. I don't know if that's the right word. We've also begun to translate the game into traditional Chinese. No timeline just yet on official support for other languages, but we'll let people know when we are looking for additional translators. Perhaps most notably, 2 new Neow Relics have been introduced, one which grants a powerful exclusive potion, and the other a brand new quest card with some cute beta art. Ancient Relics added a new Neow Relic, Dowsing Rod. Upon pickup, add 1 Dowsing to your deck. Dowsing is a quest card, a 0 cost. After entering 5 more question mark rooms, transform this into Abundance. Abundance is an ancient skill that costs 1. Choose 1 of 3 upgraded powers to add into your hand. It is free to play this turn. Exhaust. That's pretty insane. To be able to choose 1 of 3 upgraded powers to play for free this turn. I wonder what the upgrade on that is. I'm assuming it's a 0 cost card. So this is like a much cooler version of the Defect card that gives you white noise. This is a much better version. That's pretty cool. I'm very much so looking forward to trying that. I'm pretty excited about that. Choose 1 of 3 upgraded cards to add into your hand is nuts. And then they added another Neow's Relic, Neow's Sacrifice. Upon pickup, procure 1 ambergris. I'm an idiot. I don't know how to pronounce that. Ambergris, and add 1 guilty to your deck. Ambergris potion, heal for 50% of your max HP. Take an extra turn after this one. Wow. I can see why you might not be a big fan of that on first reaction, but that seems pretty insane, to be honest, because it's a little weird for it being a Neow's Relic, but that could save you in the Act 1 boss fight. That could save you in Elite where you're about to die. That could be held until you actually get to the Act 3 bosses, and then that becomes insane. 50% of your max HP is really good, and an extra turn after that is also really good. I could see this being a very interesting choice that you just like hang on to for a really long time. So I wonder. Taking on a curse and it doesn't make you stronger right away. True, it doesn't make you stronger right away, but that curse is only guilty. Guilty will go away after 5 fights, so makes it a little easier to swallow, but that's definitely the best potion in the game, I'll tell you that. But it is going to be an interesting one because it will take so long. I want to try that out. I'm looking forward to that. It's one of those things that, like you said, doesn't go off right away. It doesn't do really super well. Yeah, they reworked Diamond Diadem, I think it is. They reworked it. Whenever you play 2 or fewer cards in a turn, take half damage from enemies. That was the original. Now start combat with 20 block. Block is not removed at the start of your next turn. Does that mean permanently? So it's weird, sort of weird wording. So barricade, yeah, it sounds like it's barricade. Start combat with 20 block. Block is not removed at the start of your next turn. Does that mean only the start of your next turn? Or does that mean permanently block is not removed at the start of your next turn? Because if it's like barricade, that's insane. Like diadem, whatever, it was already pretty much the best ancient relic in the game. So I understand why they had to nerf it, but this is still an amazing replacement. It's kind of weird because this sounds like barricade And Dowsing Rod sounds like better, or Abundance rather, sounds like better white noise. Kind of awkward that they're doing things like that. I wonder if those cards get removed from the pool or changed or something like that. Aerobus's Sandcastle Relic moved from pool 1 to pool 2. Second option instead of first option. Honestly, I don't know the difference between all the options yet. I still don't wrap my head around them. It just basically means that only certain ancient relics will show up in that first option, and in that second option, and in that third option. So they moved them around. I don't know why. Changed up Darv blessing pools for more variety, which means you'll see energy relics more often. Okay. So that's pretty cool. They nerfed Tanks' Meat Cleaver. The HP gain decreased from 9 to 5. Okay. I understand Meat Cleaver was pretty insane, to be honest. It's still going to be good. But I do feel like a lot of the times when I ran into tanks, I was automatically taking Meat Cleaver. So now you probably won't take Meat Cleaver every single time. That makes it a lot better probably for the health of the game. I am sad that the HP gain decreased by that much. I would have preferred if it was like, if it went from 9 to 6, I think would have been cool. 9 to 5 is pretty drastic. We'll see how it goes. They buffed Teskatar's Toy Box. Relics gained increase from 4 to 5. Okay, that makes Toy Box maybe a little better. Well, it definitely makes it better, but it makes it a little more pickable probably. Teskatara has very specific things that you want to pick. So Toy Box, maybe you could pick it at certain times. That was one of the worst Teskatara relics, so I'm glad they buffed that. They also buffed Vaku's Fiddle. Vaku's Fiddle card draw increased from 2 to 3. I think that's really good. I've been taking Fiddle a little more often recently because I, for some reason, have been taking some draw cards a little less often. So I've been testing out Fiddle, seeing how it goes, and it's felt pretty good. It feels decent. It's going to feel a lot better being able to draw an additional 3 cards at the start of every turn. I still worry about Fiddle, like in certain builds. Obviously, it doesn't really work out, but I am looking forward to trying this. I have been, like I said, taking it a little more often and doing a little better with it. And they changed Vaku's Seer Talon, I don't know, and Distinguished Cape Relics, and they swapped the downsides. So the Talon downside is getting 2 curses. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's getting 2 curses. And they put that onto Distinguished Cape. So you'll get 2 curses plus, what is it, 3 apparitions? I believe it's 3, right? Instead of losing max HP there. And then with the Talon, they're going to give you a loss of max HP. I like that a lot because Distinguished Cape is clearly an auto pick from Vaku. If you see it, you got to take those apparitions, at least now with extra curses. Bad because, well, it's not bad. It's still going to be a really good relic to pick, but it's going to be tough because you're going to add the 3 apparitions plus 2 curses. So it's going to make drawing a little harder. It's going to make finding those apparitions a little bit more of a pain in the ass, which is probably good. And it's going to give you a big enough downside to maybe think about the other Vaku relics, because I could tell you with just max HP loss, you had to take Distinguished Cape like every single time. And Seer Talon, because of the scary curses, people rarely took that, and it's a pretty strong thing. So I like that the downside is just losing max HP on that now. That almost guarantees you'll have one left by the Act 3 bosses. Yes. Toy Box, at that point, you probably will be very close to having that at the end of Act 3 guaranteed. And if you manipulate it, you could possibly have 2. Possibly. It feels unlikely, but yeah. They nerfed Eon Glass. This is what people have been dying for. People have been complaining about Eon Glass a ton. So they nerfed his ebb move. It decreased from 32 to 26 in the on the higher ascensions, and then from 26 to 22 on the lower ascensions. So they lowered its front-loaded damage. I think that's cool. I think that people are still going to complain that Eon Glass is too strong. I don't necessarily know if the ebb move is the one that everybody wanted to be nerfed, but I think that's fine. I don't know. Eon Glass is pretty close to a really good place, in my opinion. Well, it depends. It depends on the character you choose. That's a tough one to kind of balance because Defect is really good against Eon Glass with Compact, even though they nerfed Compact the last patch to make it completely useless. Like, Compact itself is a bad card, but if you know you're going to face Eon Glass, it's good in that situation. You know what I mean? There's also Flak Cannon, so that makes it good. That makes Defect good against it. You can transform a lot of things into like souls and stuff with Necro. You can turn cards into minions with Regent. Those characters are pretty decent against Eon Glass. Ironclad has some exhaust engines if you get it in the right situation. It's really Silent that has the biggest problem with Eon Glass. And lowering one of the bigger attacks, I guess, is pretty good. It does feel like it's not going to be enough for the people that are complaining about it. I don't know if I really hate the way Eon Glass is. I don't know if it's really Eon Glass that I lose a lot of my runs to nowadays. It depends. It probably needs a little bit of a nerf, so like this is fine. And then they buffed the Torchhead Amalgam. That is the Queen's little Torchhead doggy buddy. Now starts with a new strong tackle move on turn 1 to increase front-loaded damage from 18 to 26. Okay, so they made Torchhead Amalgam a lot stronger, but Torchhead Amalgam getting a buff. It's going to be a lot stronger. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. They nerfed History Course. Moving on to the events section. They nerfed History Course Relic. Now only repeats attacks. Does not affect skills. I think that's fair. I think mostly people used History Course for attacks anyway. I actually personally forgot that it affects skills because I used it so often on attacks. Like I would do my big attack at the end and use it for History Course. I don't think it's too bad that they did that. And then we got Ironclad buffs. Let's talk about cards. They buffed Demon Form, which makes sense. It makes sense. Demon Form. Kind of trash. I'm sorry to all the Demon Form lovers, but the Demon Form truthers, it's just not that good. So strength gain going from 2 to 3 and then 3 to 4 in the upgrade, I think is pretty good. Expect a Fight no longer says you cannot gain additional energy this turn. That's pretty big. Okay, that's pretty big because Expect a Fight, a lot of people weren't taking it because you can't gain any more energy. I'm looking forward to trying that one out. I definitely am. They buffed Primal Force. That's a card that I haven't taken a lot of since the first like couple weeks of STS2. The Giant Rock now deals damage. Now deals 20 damage unupgraded and 24 on the upgrade. So that should be interesting. That's a pretty large buff. They changed Taunt. The block gain has decreased, so it's a little bit of a nerf. But they made it a common card. They took it from uncommon to common. I don't know if you want Taunt to be a common card Much like you didn't really want Bloodletting to be a common card, and as you can see, Bloodletting just got changed because the next line is they changed Bloodletting's rarity from common to uncommon. That makes sense. I've been saying this since day one of Slay the Spire 2. Bloodletting as a common card is fucking insane. It is too good a card. It was really good in Slay the Spire 1, and it was not a common. It was an uncommon. Bloodletting being an uncommon makes the most possible sense because you can't make it a rare, and it being common and you running into it all the time, it's like you're automatically going to have Bloodletting on every Ironclad run. So it's too insane for me. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Owen, crazy. I'm glad that they did that, but also not glad that they did that because I think some people still slept on Bloodletting, which is crazy. They changed cruelty. Oh man, these are crazy. These are two crazy changes. People are going to be pissed about this, but this is also very understandable. They decreased cruelty from rare to uncommon, which makes sense because you would never run into cruelty when you needed it. It was really hard to find, and you really were like kind of desperate for that. And then they changed Dominate from an uncommon to a rare. So Dominate is going to be much harder to find, which I think honestly completely fair because Dominate is an insane card, an absolutely insane card. So I think that's completely fair. It's sad, but it's fair. So Bloodletting now an uncommon makes sense. Cruelty now an uncommon makes sense. Dominate now a rare. Sadly, it makes sense. That's awesome. That's, by awesome, I mean sad. Like, all of this is sad. You can't run around doing crazy Ironclad things right now. It's going to be harder to do them. So, it's good for the health of the game, but sad for the crazy builds of the game, you know? Silent reworked well-laid plans. They're going to rework well-laid plans. Okay. Uncommon power, cost 1 at the end of your turn. Retain up to 1 or 2 cards on the upgrade. It's a rare power. Oh my God. They made it Pyramid the card. It is a rare power that costs 1 or 0 on the upgrade. At the end of your turn, you no longer discard your hand. They made Pyramid a card, a free card if it's upgraded. It's also available in multiplayer, was previously single player only. I am very confused. They made a couple relics that were just basically cards. They turned a couple relics into they turned a couple cards into relics. And now they're taking a relic and making it into a card. Well-laid plans is so ridiculously good. I can't believe they changed well-laid plans like that. Well-laid plans was a staple from Slay the Spire 1. What the hell? They also reworked expertise. So instead of drawing cards until you have 6 or 7 in hand, you draw 2 or 3 cards they gain retain this turn. I love that. I love that change. I love that change very, very much. I'm a fan. I am a fan. They changed the rarity of Accelerant from a rare to an uncommon. So now maybe people will play Accelerant more because it was really hard to play that as a rare card because it wasn't super great unless it was the right situation. And a lot of the times you wouldn't run into it then. They buffed Outbreak again. I believe they buffed Outbreak previously, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But the damage increased from 3 to 4 and 4 to 5 on the upgrade. So I think that's probably fine. That's probably decent. I don't know if I used Outbreak if it was buffed before. Unless I'm going crazy and they didn't really buff it. They reworked Mirage as well. So Instead of gaining block equal to poison on all enemies exhaust, next turn gain 1 or 2 energy and it costs 0, giving silent energy, which is something that she kind of lacked. Unless, of course, you consider Sly energy, which is fair and true. But generally speaking, unless you were doing Sly stuff, they're trying to steer you away from Sly, I think. I like that. I like that change. I like them gaining energy there. They killed Pillar of Creation. No. They reworked Pillar of Creation. Whenever you create a card, gain 3 block. That was the original. The new one is the first time you create a card each turn, gain 5 or 7 block on the upgrade. That is so sad. Pillar of Creation was like my favorite Regent card. So instead of gaining like 1,000 block from playing, what the hell is it called? It's not Meteor Strike. What the fuck is it called? You know what I'm talking about. The AoE card that deals like 21 damage across the board and puts a bunch of rocks in your hand. Instead of gaining 1,000 block from that, you can only gain 5 or 7 if it's upgraded. That's tough. That's tough. It's understandable. It is understandable, but it's tough. They're going to start reworking a lot of Regent stuff because as people get better at Regent, they're going to realize how strong everything is in Regent, and he's going to get nerfed a little bit. They also nerfed Collision Course. The damage decreased from 11 to 10 or from 15 to 14 on the upgrade. I think that's fine. Not a big change. Necrobinder, they reworked Eidolon. Exhaust your hand. If 9 cards were exhausted this way, gain 1 intangible. That was the original. They changed it to play all ethereal cards in your exhaust pile and then exhaust. They actually made Eidolon really, really good. Play all ethereal cards in your exhaust pile, exhaust. That is like the knife trap, right? That's the one, knife trap for ethereal cards. That's awesome. That is really, really cool. Wow, there's a lot of big changes here. A lot of huge changes. Let's talk Defect. They buffed Hyper Beam, which I think this is the second time they've buffed Hyper Beam. It goes from 28 to 30 damage unupgraded and then 36 to 38 on the upgrade. They buffed Sunder, which made the damage increase from 24 to 26 and then from 32 to 34 on the upgrade. And I'm still not picking Hyper Beam. Yeah, Hyper Beam's a tough pick, but Sunder was always decent. Always a decent like early game pick for damage, for early game damage. They changed Trash to Treasure. All of you Trash to Treasure lovers, I am one of you. The upgrade changed from gains innate to lowers cost by 1. I think that'll be fine. That does suck. Innate Trash to Treasure was pretty damn strong, but I get it. I get it. They nerfed Midnight. Now we're talking about multiplayer. They nerfed Midnight. The damage decreased from 99 all the way down to 60. And then the upgrade goes from 120 all the way down to 72. I didn't get to play a ton of multiplayer since that last patch, and I didn't get a chance to use Midnight, but I saw it in use from like streams and videos, and it seemed pretty insane. I can completely understand. I think they overshot it with the 100 damage to start off with. So bring it down to 60, I think is pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still OP because 60 damage is still really, really good. They also nerfed the ball, which also seemed like a lot of scaling. So they decreased the scaling from plus 15 down to plus 10. And on the upgrade, instead of plus 25, it's plus 15. I think that's valid. I think the ball was really crazy, and I think Midnight was pretty crazy. Then they also nerfed Blade Symphony. The cost increases from 1 to 2, And then if you upgrade it, it can go down to 1. And the upgrade no longer increases the shiv count, which probably makes sense because it seemed like a lot of shivs that Blade Symphony was giving. This seems like a pretty significant patch, which I wasn't really expecting. So I like that a lot. I want to try out the new Neow's Relics. I think the changes to the ancient artifacts are pretty decent. And I think they nerfed cards that needed to be nerfed, to be honest.